All right, welcome everybody back to another Men Talking Mindfulness microdose. This is a bit of a heavy dose. This particular one. This is Will Schneider. Thanks for joining us on this, and I'm going to talk about waking up. One thing that I've been experiencing, in the world, all the different places that I kind of am. I live in New York City. I have family back in Pennsylvania. I have friends here all over the planet, all different kind of places. And, a lot of people know, obviously, that I do this work. And, I've been doing this work for quite a while. And definitely, I had my own kind of awakening, as I've told my story many times on the show, through getting my heart broken when I was 27, and I couldn't turn back. So, because of what really awakening does to us. So, if you're in a place where you have gotten this place of clarity, or the first time that you're like, whoa, like the light bulb goes on. And that light bulb goes on when there's a moment where we are able to release from that fog of distress that kind of buries us in our mind, buries us in our patterns of doing things, buries us in the same emotional behaviors and responses through the same actions and the same habits and the same thinking. It all kind of works against us, that fog of distress. So what happens when you wake up, and then what do you do about it? And I just had, in the last week and a half, I've had three different men from completely three different parts of my life. One dude I met when I was 15, and we ran cross country together. And another guy that I used to live in Philadelphia, and I connected with my Philadelphia crew recently. So a guy from there that I've been seeing for 10 years at this event. I never really had a conversation like this. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And also, another friend of mine here in New York City, just having this epiphanal moment where it's whoa, I understand what it means to be present. I understand what it means to be clear. I understand what it means to wake up. All of those different things that you might have heard with this woo-woo stuff, you might be experiencing. And maybe you want to experience more of it. So listen, I'll talk about that. And as we go through different ways that you can keep your foot on the path, right, of developing more clarity, getting to know yourself a little bit more, and all those things that come together from knowing yourself. But first, I'll tell you a story about my friend from a long time ago that, I connected with him for the first time in 10 or 15 years, pre-pandemic here in New York City. And he was just, I haven't seen him a very long time. He has a family. He's just a really great guy, solid dude, doing a lot of different things and great things in the world. And I get a message from him, and I haven't connected with him pre-pandemic. I got a message from him saying, hey, are you going to be around for Thanksgiving? Because we have family and different people that we know, from where I grew up. And he has some family there too. And I was it was kind of strange to hear him contacting me, out of the blue, which I was hey, it's great to hear from this guy. So we went back and forth and kind of text, and he was saying how he thinks he had this spiritual awakening that happened, and I don't know the background. We didn't get a chance to talk over Thanksgiving because he wasn't able to come up. We weren't able to meet, but he didn't want to really talk about it over the phone either. He just really wanted to meet with me in person. So he's actually coming up from Philadelphia, where he is, to New York City. We're going to have a conversation about, what's he doing and how he's doing things, how he's feeling. So I'm excited. It just seems to be something out there right now that more and more people, more and more men in particular, and for the context of Men Talking Mindfulness, that seem to be waking up from the duty of being the provider, the protector, and the conqueror. Those are the typical, we talk about on the show, those three rewarded masculine ways of expressing ourselves, and that's fine. I mean, I think it's important to have and be able to access and know that aspect of our masculinity. But what about the other part of our masculinity that's also there that is ignored because we're only aspiring to those three ways of being: provider, protector, conqueror. So what happens about the other things? Like, what about being patient, being kind, being generous, being humble? All those different things, all those ways of being that are also inside of us, that also make us a human being. But also when we access those other types of skills and live with them and get to know them and exercise them, then we really become a force for humanity. And that force for humanity is, from that realm of like connecting with people, from that realm of the self. And the self is, there's 8 C's of the self. And, these 8 C's, here they are, right? So this is the self. So, connection is connect is first. You got to connect to something, right? This will help to calm you down, right? This will naturally pique your curiosity. It'll bring forth more creativity. It naturally provides, as you get to know yourself and the self energy a little bit more, you become more confident. You develop more courage, right? And you also develop, it's already in there, the self, but you live and access and act more compassionately as well. This is the self. And when we get to that self, and this could be what that first moment is, that you get to the clarity of that self, and you're able to experience and really experience that self energy because of the amount of clarity and there's a kind of like a deeper knowing that this is like, oh, this is like who I am. And then we can access self-leadership. And that's when we really start to kick ass. That's when we really begin to do fantastic things with our lives, but not just for ourselves. We do it for other people because we know by getting to know and taking steps to deepen our relationship to the self, experiencing that self energy, right, and expressing ourselves, in self leadership. We just naturally step into like a servant leadership role. Because we understand that everybody wins at the game of life. And when I can help other people win, I win. And instead of it being this hyper-competitive, hyper-masculine kind of competitive nature where I must win, I must kill, I must crush, whatever that is, right? Trust me, there's enough to go around for everybody. Don't just trust me. It's written in every single scripture that's ever been written about like the divine and whatever you want to call that universal intelligence that's around us, that's of us, and connects all of us at the same time. So let's talk about what those first step, what the foot on the path can look like, and what's really important about doing this, and about living in this way and creating more of that clarity and discovering more of that self and that self energy and that self leadership is making the time to practice. And I'll talk about what these practices can look like, but making the time and staying consistent with it. And it doesn't have to be anything major, right? Everybody, I know New Year's is coming up and everybody wants to do like 10 or 20 different things in order to improve their life, right? And, studies show that, around 3 weeks or the third, fourth week of January, about 80% of the population has lost their commitment to their resolutions, and by the end of March, about 95% of everybody has lost those resolutions and are just back to the way of doing things, right? So again, make the time, stay consistent. So what can help us to stay on that path, but also continually create more of this clarity is getting into our body. This can look in many different ways. It could be simple. Start that one thing. Small is all. So getting in your body, right? And getting in your body means providing some stress to your body. So it begins to release the strain and stress and kind of the office hunching or tech postures, if you will, that we continually live with on a daily basis because of how we live our lives. Like if you're living a life where, you're just going from lying down in bed in the morning, right, to walking to the shower, to the kitchen and taking care of your basic needs, right? So then you can go walk to your car, sit in your car, get out of your car, walk to your desk, right? Sit at your desk for, 8 or 9 hours, get up, right? Maybe, have lunch in there, walk a couple more times and walk and sit, walk and sit back in your car, drive home, like we just keep accessing the same behaviors in the body. So we're losing that strength that we need, in order to, like get our heart working and get our blood pumping and optimize our body. But we also, like, if you do some sort of practice, like I don't care, it doesn't matter what it is, get on the treadmill for a consistent amount of time, or do a Peloton, or just start taking a strenuous walk, like instead of maybe not a flat walk, like go up around some hills and get that heart rate going, or maybe you step into a yoga class. And this dude that I met, from Philadelphia, the second guy that kind of was waking up, like he went and actually started talking to his therapist. That's the one thing he started to do, and that started to move things around for him. And I'll come back and talk about that in a second. But his therapist also recommended, like, hey, why don't you try to take a yoga class? Mix it up a little bit. He started taking yoga, and he, in the process of taking yoga, he's having more clarity. He is releasing, not just the fog of distress in your mind, but he's releasing the fog of distress, right, and the fog of stress from his body by opening his body, exercising his body, creating, shifting the patterns of movement in the body. And this is what's so wonderful about taking a yoga class, or is, there's a natural strength and flexibility which creates stability. That's part of the practice, right? But also it helps you to, again, establish, or not even establish, to unwire the body of the patterns it's in, create a natural, like, alignment and harmony within the body. I can't speak about it enough, but get in your body some way is super key. Another way is get back to nature, right? Just getting out, taking a hike, maybe once a week, or going for a long walk in the woods, is going to be great for the mind and the body, but also taps you into the natural stillness and peace and patience that is part of nature. And we kind of get reminded just by being in the energy of nature. Forest bathing, you probably already heard of it. If you haven't, don't listen to, go look it up, forest bathing. Just getting in the forest, getting down on the ground, like, another great way to get back to nature. Go do some gardening, get your hands literally in the dirt, change your magnetic frequency polarity within you and the earth, and kind of get back to more of a neutral and grounded, what I think is called grounding, state of being and mind. Walking barefoot is fantastic outside in the grass, even just a great way, like maybe get out there and walk barefoot, in between, little short breaks that you're designing for yourself in order to continually create that clarity that you're looking for, in the middle of the workday or something like that. Taking in the sunrise, the sunset. Get back to nature is the key message here. But do it with making your body, the flesh of you, making as much contact with the earth as possible. And then we have how about just get more sleep? Get more sleep. Like the scientists and the doctors that have been on our show that talking about sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night is preferably for 95% of the population. Get your rest, and protect your sleep as well. So no heavy meals before you go to bed, no sugar for sure, no caffeine, like 10 hours before you go to bed, but also no alcohol. Alcohol diminishes your body's ability to sleep deeply, right? We have a deep sleep cycle, we have a REM cycle, we have an awake cycle, and we kind of move through these different, it's kind of like a 90-minute cycle, like 30 in, 30 off, 30 on, so we kind of weave through these cycles typically several times throughout the evening, so we get the physical restoration in that deep sleep mode, and then we get also the mental restoration in the REM sleep mode, and then the light sleep just kind of balances it all out, and then we go back into the deep, back into the REM. So get your sleep and protect your sleep. And sleep consistency is key as well, like as far as like going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. I didn't make this stuff up. Like, I wish it could be different, but if you want to be badass and you really want to have a fantastic upcoming year, just a fantastic life, and continually move that clarity through, get your sleep. Breathe. I mean, this is like, this is the foundation of any clarity practice, or any of these practices, is getting to know your breath, because this is what helps you to support that natural calm and peacefulness that is within us. But we have to let go of the stress and anxiety, right? In order to let go of the stress and anxiety, we must get to know our breath, deepen our breath, meaning getting our breath down into our belly, slowing the breath down, taking control of our breath so we can get away from that sympathetic nervous system that is driving all of that circus that's within the fog of distress that I was alluding to earlier. So this could be your practice, just sitting 5 minutes every day, or maybe do this 5 minutes 3 or 4 times a day, and just sit and find a nice, smooth, deep quality of breath. Or maybe you do the inner fire breath, just jump right in and do something like Wim Hof inner fire breathing, and just, go off the deep end right away. Like, it's only going to help you to transform even more. So breathe, and find time every day to breathe, to create that clarity and keep a sure foot on the path, for sure. Journaling. God, this is, I don't know. Every great man out there that has ever lived has kept a journal. I mean, maybe there's that 1, 3, 10 people that haven't over the lifetime of humanity, or the modern world, or even kind of more the ancient past. But I think you get my point here. Start a conversation with yourself by journaling. And, one thing that I hear about journaling and people journaling is, they get nervous. I think it comes from our schooling, our grade school or whatever, middle school, high school, where we get it, we create or give our best effort for whatever book report or whatever, creative writing class that we're doing. And it comes back with, a bunch of red marks on it and check marks and all these kind of corrections and a C or a D or like a B, whatever your terrifying grades are, or maybe it's an A-, oh, God forbid, right? So we kind of get into this relationship to ourselves and writing as, am I doing good or am I doing bad? Instead of looking over your shoulder while you're writing, just write. There's like no wrong when you're journaling. And what can you journal? I mean, there's no shortage of exercises that you can do in order to journal. You can just write about your day, write about your visions, write about how you're going to take steps towards those visions, write about, maybe a distressful time that you've had, during the day, and take a step back, zoom out, and look at like, how do you want to be in that situation next time? What can you do differently in that situation next time? But the more that you're in this conversation through journaling with yourself, and it's not, and I would suggest getting a pen and paper, getting out of your computer, get out of the digital realm, like as much as you can. Even when you're earthing or whatever like that, leave your iPod and shit at home if you can. Just go out and hear nature as it is, instead of being distracted by your podcast, which amps you up, or, even like sounds of nature while you're walking in nature. It's like, just be with nature as it is. And same thing with journaling. Stay in that realm of journaling. And this could be a great way to start your day, a great way to end your day, with like self-reflecting, or just like, write a poem, whatever it is. Another way, stay on the path. And, this is a foundation for any major, mindfulness practitioner, is meditation, right? Develop a meditation practice, as soon as you can. And it could be very challenging to start a meditation practice. We're going to have a meditation program that we're going to launch in 2024 to help you, like a beginning meditation practice. It's tough to stay consistent, but it doesn't have to be very long. Just sitting for 5, 7, 8 minutes, working way up to like 20 minutes or even more, 30 minutes, even twice a day. But meditation is going to help you to access a natural state of stillness that is of all things. All the little gaps between the words that I'm saying, the only way you're able to hear and decipher and distinguish the words that are coming out of my mouth is because of the gaps and the pauses that exist between them. And those gaps and pauses are silence, are stillness. And this is where, everything comes from that place. The Big Bang, right? Well, where'd the bang come from? The bang came from stillness. So the more that you're able to access stillness, sit and meditate, get to know your breath, and that could just be your practice for years, just sitting and focusing on your breath. So can't stress meditation enough. It's something I do every day, 20 minutes, 22 minutes, and it's just a nonstop practice, not something I'm trying to get, I'm trying to improve, if anything, I'm trying to improve the length of presence that's within my meditation, or just being aware of things as they are and surrendering, instead of letting my mind comment and criticize and tear down and judge everything that's part of my life, including myself. Cool. Okay. Hey, you want to go? Going further. So maybe hire a coach or a teacher. Get back to being a student of life instead of trying to, command and dictate and, control life. I mean, it's like control is an illusion. And when you kind of step back and take the seat of a student and develop that humility that's required to be a student and learn again, that's going to require listening as well. And, practice, you have to ask questions. There's a sense of vulnerability. So there's a lot that a coach and a teacher, and you being the student again with that coach or with that teacher, is fantastic. If you want to work one-on-one, I'm here. I know, shameless plug, but this is what I do, and I would like to see you again be more badass and be that holistic man and a holistic woman, a holistic person. So if you need some help, find a coach, or I'd love to help you. Let me know. Coming back to that therapist that I mentioned, or not the therapist, but just therapy in general, it's a fantastic way to start, I think, and it's an easy way for everyone to start. And why therapy? I've done therapy for 7 or 8 years in the past. It's been a while since I've had a therapist, but I definitely want to talk to someone in 2024, because what that space does when you have a therapist, and a therapist that you trust and you can really be with and sit with, is a good therapist is going to create a space for you to open up, for you to release, for you to, relax from all the pressures of who you should be, what you should be doing, what it should all look like, and really talk about your shit. And this is what happened to my friend from Philly that I just saw on Friday. He started seeing a therapist and just started emoting, right? Energy and emotion, right? What is emotion? What does, emoting mean? It's talking about your feelings, right? Expressing your feelings. And by doing that, you're moving, the emotion, energy and motion in you, through you, and outside of you. So therefore, it's no longer trapped in your mind or trapped in your body as much. So you naturally begin to create a sense of clarity, because your capacity to absorb and experience different energy is now available, because that energy that's been keeping you stuck, right, by not talking about your stuff and keeping it wrapped, all up in your mind and your body, things begin to change. So therapy is just fantastic. And it's going to naturally create some clarity if you have a great therapist, because they can really talk about your stress, talk about, what kind of feelings that you're having. They'll help you, a good therapist will help you develop more of that EQ, right? That emotional literacy and the emotional awareness that's so important for your transformation and continually stay awake. A couple more here is... stay in the conversation, read some great books. There's no shortage of books, like new age books they might be called, but there's also classic, texts, that are out there, that can help you stay awake. or sometimes reading great biographies or autobiographies of people that are really inspiring, and like that have broken away from the chains and the shackles of like how I should be expressing myself and how I should be living my life, and started took their own steps, found their own path, and then started walking that path. So and this could be also staying into conversations, maybe start might have to change some friends or go out and find new friends that that don't, enable you to, continually just living the same life over and over by just doing the same things. So, I have some notes here. Let me just see here. Good. So connecting with positive people, is super important as well. If look at your friends like this. If they're kind of half full people, then I would spend a little bit more time with them, because at least they have a sense of optimism about things. Versus like people that are, kind of dark and, the glass is half empty all the time. So, you can work with the heroes, what I'll say, the glass half full, taking control of their life, or you can like kind of go out and kind of live and swim in the waters of the glasses half empty victim kind of people. So, so just be careful with kind of the friends that you keep, because my friend, my first friend that I talked about woke up, he sent me a message. He's like, I'm trying to talk to my friends about this awakening, but they all think I'm crazy. So you're going to experience some of that resistance as well. Because what happens with people, and from my experience, as I start to change, I start to live more of that self and, walk on my own path with self-leadership, through practicing getting to know myself. And you're going to get criticized because when you wake up, other human beings, regardless of who they are, it wakes them up in some way, because they see the light go on in you, and they also have that same light in them. And they might be ignoring that light. And one way to kind of, stay in their, keep that light off for them is trying to diminish your light. And that's what they'll try to do with the criticism, the jokes, the offhanded jokes, or, oh, hey, I'm just kidding. I had a hell of a time shifting from a good, comfortable corporate job in Philadelphia with a pharmaceutical company, shifting to New York and taking, life, on my own, grabbing, the horns, like they say, and walking my own path. And I was an actor for years here in New York, and it really helped me to open up and understand myself in a great way. And, about art, it was one of the best times of my life. It was challenging. But my God, I'd go back and see my friends or my family, and they'd be, calling me, whatever. I mean, all sorts of different names that, are just trying to it's an invitation. Get back in the box. Get back in the box. Get back in the box. So instead of like, oh, hey, because if you wake up again, other people will wake up as well, and that's very threatening for people, especially. It just is. I think you kind of feel what I'm saying here, and I hope you are. But also, like, what'll come with, like, they'll try to guilt you and shame you in some way. And also the last piece about other people is know that this is not them, right? That's not them. That's not their hearts that are speaking to you. They're acting out of fear, because if they see you changing, then that means they can change, and change is hard. Okay, last couple more things here. Maybe you need to get escape. Go escape somewhere. Go do a retreat. Do an immersion dive into whatever curiosity that you particularly have. Whatever that first step looks like. Like maybe go in. Take like an immersive weekend or a week or something like that. Get away from, your typical surroundings and the typical, people and the typical behaviors that you express because of the typical environment that you're in. And also another shameless plug. We have a Lead Well to Be Well retreat in May 2024. So maybe jump into that. We already have 8 or 9 people signed up, and it's only December right now. So, head to mentalkingmindfulness.com to find out more. Great. Or, one way to escape, and, this has helped me, do your own research. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not recommending this. But what I have done to wake up and to turn on more lights on the inside, because there's more than just one, it seems like. There's one eternal one, but there's other ones that the different rooms, I guess, that I'm walking through as more doors keep opening and more lights keep turning on as I kind of walk to the eternal, the Atman, right? The soul, the self, the divine, the peacefulness that's within all of us. So maybe do something, a psychedelic retreat. Beckley Retreats, who's been on our show before, has some great psilocybin retreats. Another organization, if you're a veteran, is Heroic Hearts Project. They do ayahuasca ceremonies in Mexico. So maybe that'll be part of your path as well. And I highly recommend, if you can, I guess I shouldn't recommend, you know what I mean? Like, it's helped me read about it, study it, and then go and do it. A couple more here before I close is turn off the news. I mean, the news is just the narrative. There's nothing new about the news. It seems to be, the same things hashed over and over and over and over and over again and again, but just said in a different way, in a different time, and attached to a different, content, same context, different content kind of thing. And what do they do? I mean, they need to make profits as well, and what sells is fear. What bleeds leads. So, and when I'm watching images of fear and destruction and people dying and the world is always coming to a close, I'm not feeling too good about myself, and I'm definitely not feeling that clarity because I'm clouded by fear and that fog of the stress. So turn off the news, turn off social media, or utilize those things like social media in particular to benefit you, to create more inspiration, to create more aspirations, to create more calm, to create more joy and happiness, instead of getting all racked up in the FOMO and, the celebrity lifestyle that, apparently every single person on this planet should be living. And last here is, so I would just cut out the alcohol. Like, it's a depressant. It's destructive. It's a poison for the body. And I'm not, this is what, this is what science has shown, not just me talking. So, the fog of distress is a form of depression. And what could be keeping you dipping down into that fog of distress is alcohol. So maybe that's where you start, getting into a 12-step program, maybe just putting down alcohol for a certain amount of time, and just see what clarity you can create, or maybe create a different relationship to you and alcohol. Pick your spots. Like, I'm just usually a Friday kind of thing. I just a couple beers on Friday with the guys, and that's it. But during the week, nothing. Holidays, different story, but pick your spots instead of it just making every night having wine with dinner, and why? I mean, I know I sound like Puritan in some ways, but, watch, your sleep. One thing that's helped me create more clarity is I have a Whoop. There's the Oura Ring and other kind of wearables out there. Faceless wearables that help you keep track of, different aspects of your human engineering, your health. The Whoop has really helped me to create the clarity I need to understand, my sleep patterns, my workout patterns, my recovery patterns, what it's required to find the balance between sleep, recovery, and strain. And, strain is activity. And it's just been really helpful. So that could be another way to do it. All right, everybody. I hope this is helpful in helping you stand on the path and doing the work. If you need help, hey, please, let me know. Let Men Talking Mindfulness know. Keep tuning into the show. We have stuff all the time that is hopefully extremely inspirational for all of you, and keeps the light on the inside. So, hey, thank you so much for checking this out. And this is Will and Men Talking Mindfulness. Over and out. Have a great day.